Scrub-a-dub-dub, what's in the tub? What's going on, my scrubscribers? Ace here, and today we are back with another episode of Pokemon Battling Tips. Now, this topic today was brought to me by someone who commented in the last video, and that was Kendra, one of my good friends, and she asked, I'd like to see what Pokemon battling styles there are, and what some of the strengths and weaknesses that they have are. And I felt that was pretty easily addressed. So I have really four categories that teams kind of fall under when you're in competitive battling. And those are going to be stall, balanced, hyper offensive, and theme teams. Now, if you guys disagree with this, you guys can leave your comments down in the comment section below. And, let me know what I missed. But I felt that these four categories kind of cover everything that you're going to see. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So when you're looking at your opponent's teams, normally you can tell kind of what kind of player they are based on the style that they're bringing. Normally when people bring their favorite mons and things like that, you can kind of see the type of player they're going to be, and that gives you an advantage because you know what moves they're likely to make during the match and when you need to make your switches and aggressive doubles. Now we'll start with the first style that I said, stall. Stall is one of the most annoying styles that you're going to encounter because stall teams, when you identify them, they're going to have a lot of fat mons. Things like Chansey, Umbreon, Clefable, Milotic, things that are going to take hits and just wall down your team and set up recovers, calm minds, and things like that, rest. And they're just going to eat hits and ruin your day, basically. They're just going to make you upset. And that's how you play stall. You try to frustrate your opponent, and you just try and whittle them down and force them to make a play that they wouldn't normally make with their team, and is going to leave them susceptible to being swept by one of your walls. And with the implementation of the move Scalds, it's particularly opened up. Well, yeah, with the implementation of Scald, it's really opened up a door for stall teams to be more successful because physical sweepers can't set up against these stall teams without risking being burned. So that's one thing that has benefited stall teams a lot in this generation. And a reason that a lot of people play stall is because it's really successful at the two ends of the spectrum, low-level players and high-level players, and even in the middle, but less so in the middle. Because stall at the lower level catches a lot of people off guard. They don't have answers for it. And at the high level, people bring hyper offensive teams or balanced teams, and they're going to have trouble getting through these walls without proper counters. Now, some of those counters for stall teams are things that have Taunt, Torment, Encore. You can also have hazards because a stall team is going to be switching in and out a lot to prevent you from breaking down one of their walls and tearing a hole through their team. Hazards really help against that, excluding things like Clefable who have Magic Guard. But hazards are normally a really good thing because they limit the amount of switches that your opponent can bring in with their walls. And even if they go to recover up, you have your answers for those walls, and they have to keep swapping in and out, in and out. And they're going to take, Stealth Rock's damage, Toxic Spikes, and things like that. The other thing that we saw in earlier gens, but because of Scald, it's less likely to have, is really set up sweepers. Normally on the physical side, because most walls, once you set up like a sword stance or things like that, are going to fall to that setup sweeper, but with Scald and things like that. So special sweepers work a little bit better against some stall teams, but it's really dependent. Psyshock is a good move as well. If you have like a special wall that's up against you that has less physical defense, but it's really hard with the implementation of Scald. So you kind of just have to understand how your opponent's going to play the stall, and you just have to focus on whittling down their walls to a point where you can endgame sweep them. Bringing like a wall breaker and things like that, because stall teams normally are very slow because they're invested in HP and defenses. Fast wall breakers normally tear through once they have opportunities opened up for them. But yeah, again, you still have to be careful because stall teams normally bring things like Scald or Thunder Wave and things like that that limit your fast sweepers. So Stall is its own, hard style to go against, but it's definitely beatable. And if you implement a lot of those tactics, taunt and things like that, hazards and fast wall breakers, you're going to break through a stall team. And for me, nothing feels better than beating a stall team. Okay, so moving on from that, we have balance teams. Now, balance teams is normally what most people who are trying to get better at competitive battling strive to make. Balance teams are something that have every kind of role covered. You're going to see very standard mons on your opponent's team, and they're just trying to make the correct play 99% of the time. And seeing this team, you'll see, like 2 walls, 1 defensive, 1 especially defensive, a spinner, a rocker, a mega, and like a scarfer or a bander that's going to help open up walls for the mega. Now, the benefit of this team is that it covers everything. It's going to limit what your opponent can do because you have an answer for everything. But with this style, this team doesn't really exceed in any particular aspects because it's just so balanced. So this style suffers unless you're a very high-level player, or if your opponent forces you to play their game. Your balanced team is going to have trouble because you don't exceed in that category. So you're going to have a lot of trouble. And no team is going to be perfectly balanced. Striving for perfection and balance is impossible because there are so many mons that it's just not realistic to go for. So you're going to have common weaknesses on your team that are going to open up holes for people with teams that excel in that area. And things that really counterbalance teams are stall, setup, sweep, things like that. Things that really excel in one area that your team doesn't is going to be hard for you to just win against. So when you're playing a balanced team, you have to make sure that you know what your weaknesses are. Even though that you are extremely balanced and have something for most things, you have to understand what your weaknesses are and how to counter other styles with that. Okay, so now moving on to the third style, it's hyper offensive. Now, hyper offensive is the exact opposite of stall. With hyper offensive teams, you're going to see a lot of attack oriented mons, things like Darmanitan, Talonflame, Charizard, Garchomp, things like that are going to attack, set up and sweep. And that's something that you have to be aware of in its own right. Because hyper offensive teams really benefit off of your opponent not having something for one of their physical sweepers. They're going to whittle down everything and then sweep you with any one of 6 mons. And that's a very unique playstyle, but it's very risky because if your opponent on the opposite hand has walls that counter that, you're going to have a hard time. And hyper offensive loses to stall sometimes, and it beats stall other times. And it also can beat any one of the other styles, which is why a lot of people like this style. But you have to be careful in its own right. And normally, what I like to do when I build a hyper offensive team is to bring some hyper offensive mons, and then bring mons that clerk and cater to these mons, because the way that hyper offensive teams lose to stall teams is that they get stalled out. And they, especially with hyper offensive mons, you're a lot of the time going to have mons that have life orb, recoil moves, and things like that, because that's the best way to bring out their most power. So you're going to have to bring Pokemon that can help them, and this team and this style also loses a bit to hazards as well, because things like Talonflame, Garchomp, things like that, or not Garchomp, Darmanitan take 25 to 50% from rocks and things like that, toxic spikes and things like that, whittle down how long your physical sweeper can be out there. And it's a very unique style and a very risky style, but I think it's one of the most fun styles, and I definitely recommend it if you guys are just trying to have fun with Pokemon. One of the best styles overall. Now the final style is theme teams. Now I know that these teams can be divided into their own categories and things like that, but I felt this best covered what these teams are. It's a theme. So whether your opponent is going to run Weather, they're going to run Trick Room, Tailwind, anything like that, this team is going to be something on your opponent's team. You'll see like a Tyranitar with a Stoutland and Excadrill benefiting from Sand Rush or Sand Force, and they're going to try to put you in a situation where you have to play their game. And that's what theme teams benefit from, is making you play their game. But that's really what theme teams, all they have is that they have this one little like beneficial, like exponential, like it's 100% to get dedicated in one area. They're going to sweep you with a Sand Sweeper, they're going to kill you with a Sand Forcer, they're going to beat you with the Swift Swimmer, things like that. Now the weaknesses of these teams is counter weather. So if you have a Sand Rush team and your opponent brings a rain team and just sets up a rain dance on your Tyranitar, what are you gonna do? And a lot of the time walls, anything that can completely wall your team, like it just, like Landerous-T against an Excadrill, what are you gonna do? Like, you're just gonna get earthquakes. Your Sand Rush isn't really gonna matter, and you can Iron Head, but like Rocky Helmet set's a thing, and things like that. It's just going to put you in a difficult situation. Also, set up sweepers. If your opponent has a mon that is faster than your Pokemon in the rain, like it's a Choice Scarfer, or has priority like Talonflame and things like that, and it can just basically kill any of your mons, you're going to get swept, and you don't have any answers for that because you're dedicated to this one theme. Also, wall breakers, things that can set up and sweep, because if a Pokemon can eat a hit from your boosted Pokemon and things like that, and then set up Swords Dance, Calm Minds, and stuff like that, you're going to get swept again like that. So theme teams are very successful if they catch your opponent off guard. But once your opponent doesn't have to play your game, then they basically win, and they put you in an almost, I would say, 90-10 situation, because now you have to play their game, and your team isn't really built to play their game, it's built to play yours. So you're going to have to really play aggressively and force your opponent back to your style. Now those are the 4 styles that I subcategorize everything into. I think that pretty much covers everything you're going to see. If you guys are going to, if you guys think that I missed anything, make sure to comment down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. Make sure to share this with anybody that you think could benefit from this. I really like to help people and improve, because I'd like to see everybody getting really good at Pokemon battling, because it only makes us better as a community. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, make sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy, and show your support for me if you'd want to. And that's going to be it for today. I'm Ace, and I'm out. Bye-bye.